That's Gizmo. That's your boyfriend right there. There's your boyfriend. There's your boyfriend right there. He's coming by. Say hi to your boyfriend Gizmo. There he is. Say hi to Gizmo. Say hi to Gizmo. Oh, he's going. Yeah, he'll pick you up later for a date. Don't worry about it. He'll pick you up later. Oh, the only dog that gets you that excited is another Shih Tzu. Oh, you're mad he left. Oh, you're mad he left. Hey everyone, it's Dominic, the Primetime Treasure Hunter. Welcome back to another video. While Daisy stews over her boyfriend leaving her yet again, we are going to head out to another set of garage sales Saturday morning. There's a community garage sale we are headed off to right now. I have got Mrs. Primetime in the house right here. She's right there. There's that shoulder right there. A little bit of her showing at a time. Now she's slinking away. But she's going to help me as we go out and try to find some treasure. So let's head on out. All right, this is our first one of the day. Let's hit it up. What's your price on the books? $1 on Tarzan. All right. I like this because this has a nice vintage look to it. It's bigger than the 5-ounce can here. This more modern one that I'm just gonna put aside. But this kind of vintage advertising on it is awesome, and it's full too, and light. So it's a 2-pound can, and you don't often see these, especially full. So definitely gonna grab this. So I could hardly believe my luck. This is literally the first item that I come up upon, and this is a $50 to $55 book. In fact, that's what it retailed at and consistently sells that way. It's funny because the old Tarzan comic books don't really sell that well, but in a hardcover version like this one sells awesome. So this was a great find. Got it for $1. And also picked this one up for $1 that I just showed you. Comps on this for a 5-ounce can was $24, and I don't see anyone that has this big 2-pounder. It's hard for you to see in the glare there, but it is a 2-pound can there. You can see it, and it actually has the polish in it. It's like a light, fluffy kind of polish, not a liquid polish. And this just kind of antique, kind of vintagey look. Well, it's not really an antique, but this vintage look to it is the kind of thing that you're looking for. Just that old font, that just old kind of art that just they don't make anymore. You know, the kind of like a little bit of like a rusting to it. That's actually all kind of things that collectors want, and they display it in their garage. So this is definitely a good piece. I'm not sure what we'll get for it, but hopefully more than 25. Just paid $1. Heading off to the next sale. So no on this shirt. No. Nope. No. Aha. Okay. This is a good one right here. This with a video game motif, Galaga. Definitely a good one to pick up. So for, let's see the prices here. For 50 cents each, no brainer. And it's XL, so larger size sell better. Definitely a good score. So sports jackets like this are a no-brainer, especially when it's just $1. And this is light. It's New Jersey Devils. Big fan base for the New Jersey Devils, and look for this brand CCM. Sells very well, so this is definitely a good pickup. I estimate probably like worth around like 35 or something. Get it for $1. Okay, so this one here is pretty neat. This is a Pavel Bure card inside. It's actually mounted within this plastic right here. And you can see there it is limited edition, and it's signed. It's one of 2,500 pieces. It's really cool. If you take it out of the plastic here, you can see why it's easily kept in mint condition, and it displays very nicely. This one currently is up for $60 with 2 watchers, and the price here is $5. So definitely gonna pick this one up. So all this stuff's free here. Free Charlie Brown book. Can't pass up a free Charlie Brown book. I have a lot of vintage Charlie Brown books, so I will add this to my, I'll add it to my collection for sure. I grew up reading this stuff. First printing, 1965. Nice. Good condition too. And Pokey the Little Puppy. Little Pokey. Kind of like Daisy. Kind of like Daisy a little bit. Just not a Shih Tzu, that's all. It's all right. Not bad for free. Okay, so not only did I get these 2 free vintage books, which, you know, can't beat them for free, I also picked up something really cool, which was actually in a box of sewing machine things, but then I found this, and this is called, it's made by a company called Lufkin, which you could see right there, and what this is Surveyor measuring tape. And it just keeps going out, and I actually pulled the entire thing out just to see how far it goes. This thing goes all the way, I'm not going to keep pulling out, but it goes all the way out to 100 feet. So for just $1, it's a good, you know, little vintage pickup, and it does feel like it weighs under a pound. So this would be a first class shipping item. So shipping will be cheap, and I would say minimum on it will be $20, but hopefully it could get more than that on it. But it's just kind of like one of those no-brainer vintage pickups. It's a cool, kind of unique item. I mean, the company does sell well. Lufkin, if you look that up, the sell-through rate is pretty good. So that's what you know, convinced me, combined with the vintage look of it, and you know, pretty, you know, it's like a mechanical piece. Surveyors kind of like these kind of things. So easy pickup. Off to the next sale. Okay, so this is the opposite side of the street from where we're on, off of you know, one of the main strips, and there's more garage sales over here. So we're just gonna park over here, go find some. We actually went on the other side, and there was much less competition on the other side, so we just hit that up first. That's how we got all those scores, and now we're gonna pick all the things that these people missed. It's a pretty interesting tree, if you know what I mean. Only on the Primetime Treasure Hunter YouTube channel. Beautiful day, no rain, nice and active, tons of sales, just what I love. This is why you have to open these up and look inside before purchasing, because people will not want that. So I was looking through these things and saw that this guy had these Super Friends trade paperbacks, but they're really for kids. And he has some Lego sets too, but you know, it led me to think that he might have some more comic books around. So I asked him, and he said he did. So he's going inside to get some, and gonna see what he comes out with. Ask and you shall receive. Okay, so we've got 3 boxes at this point, and now he's going to get more. So I don't know if he's gonna sell this stuff to me though. He has all this stuff individually listed on mycomicshop.com. So I'm not too confident we're gonna be able to make a deal here. I don't know. We'll see. You never know. But this just proves you have to ask. Got him. $50 for the entire lot. None of this stuff was out. I had to ask, and just goes to show you, if you ask, you never know what you will find. This is a great deal. I'm going to talk to you about it in just a moment. Okay, so just want to talk to you real quick about how I negotiated that comic book deal. I basically just looked at how many were in one of those boxes. Now, they were bagged and boarded. I knew there's usually about 135 to 140 in there. It doesn't take long to count up one box, and so in his, there was 145 in one of them. Then there was another one that was about the same size, and then there was another one that was a little bit bigger than that, and then there was like that smaller stack. So it was a fair estimate that there were around 500 comic books in there, probably more than that. So what I did is, I tell you want to try to get them between 10 and 20 cents. Usually an average would be about 15 cents. So I start at the 10-cent mark with the negotiation, and that would be a nice number, which is $50. So I just offered him $50 for the 3. I would have gone up, like I would have even gone to 60, 70, 75, but start at the 50, and you know, because then you have a place to move. And he just said fine. no problem. I'll take it for 50 bucks. And then he said, if I ever have more stuff that I want to sell, you know, how could I get in touch with you? And that's why you need to have a business card with you. So, you know, you get them made up pretty cheaply. I handed him my business card, you know, exchange names, that kind of thing. And, you know, now if he ever needs to sell his comics in the future, you know, he may reach out to me and make another deal. And that's how you've got to work it. So I just want to pass that tip along on to you. And now we're going to go out and see if we get some more treasures. Another one of these, 50 cents. Okay, well, just did an emergency pizza rescue for Mrs. Primetime, who's giving me the evil eye. You know, I knew we had a problem when we started to pull into the last 2 garage sales, and she wasn't even getting out of the car. So I said, you know what, I'm making an executive decision, and we're gonna go right across the street. There's a good pizzeria. We're gonna get some pizza. So you're all set to go out for a few more, right? Right? She still won't talk. Come on. Shaking her head. Always, always, always pick up blank VHS tapes that are sealed. You sell them off in lots. These are 50 cents. It's just a guaranteed score when you get something like this. Yeah, I've never seen anything like that before. It's a solar gear wheel. Spins around.
Oh, look.
Really neat.
It tells you when.
Huh. And that has a year on it, 1970. Awesome. Okay. So it's cool. It folds up like that, and then that's really convenient.
That's cool.
So yeah, wound up getting this piece for $1, and it turns out that the woman who is selling it, she's a teacher, and she found it when she moved into a classroom. It was just sitting there, and she held onto it for years and just decided to get rid of it today. So $1 for a piece like that. There's not even any comps on it, but it's such a cool item that's definitely going to sell. So looking forward to putting this one up. We're going to pick this up for Daisy. That's perfect. The dreaded eBay comp printout next to an item at a garage sale. Never fall for that trick. People try to use that all the time. It's not based on sold, it's based on what people are asking. Always remember that. This is a really cool piece, this Batman and Robin periscope. I've never seen this, and it dates to 1966. So I'm gonna check the comps. Guy's prices seem reasonable. He's actually going to look for some comic books. I asked him if he had comic books, but really cool comic related piece. Love it. So that was a really cool piece. Unfortunately, we couldn't make a deal on it. The person wanted 20 bucks for it, and I just wasn't going to pay that. There's someone right now trying to sell it for $49.99 on auction. There's no bids on it, and that same person has tried to sell it about 4 other times in the last month, and it didn't move. So the price is, you know, really too high for it right now. I mean, someone out there might pay that at some point and may even pay more, but I'm not going to invest $20 into it, and we just really couldn't make a deal on it. The most I was willing to go on it was 10. The comic books that he had were just a little stack, and they were all beaten up and destroyed. There was no value in them. Most of them didn't even have covers. So just walked away and just couldn't make a deal, but that's okay. I got to show you a cool item and a little be on the lookout for that company, Tarzan. So moving on to the next sale. Okay, so I just finished up going around the community garage sales with Mrs. Primetime. It's around 3 o'clock, and I got back to Primetime Treasure headquarters, just about to start unloading things. Went to go check my email to see if any responses to my Craigslist ads came in during the day, and sure enough, there was a response to one of my Cash for Your Comics ads. A guy just left his name and his phone number, but he told me he was from an area of Syracuse that I know is a hotbed for comic books. So normally I ask for pictures first, but this time I just gave the guy a call. You know, I did a little check on his name, everything kind of, you know, cleared that way. There was no like arrest records or anything like that. And turns out this guy does real estate, and he clears out houses, and he found 2 big boxes, or I don't know, he says they're big, but they could be short boxes, but they're boxes of comic books. And they're not super old from what he said, but they were kept in pretty good condition. He mentioned there could be some Deadpool books. So I don't know if he has anything that's of much value, but I'm gonna take a 20-minute trip over there to go check it out, and we'll see what happens. I let him know just in general what I would pay, and he's basically like, I don't really care, you know, just pretty much, you know, if you think you could take them, just give me a fair price and I'll let him go. He said, I don't know anything about these things. So that's great. He's not attached to them. He just wants to get rid of them. So I'm going to go see if it's worth it. Let's head on over. All right, everyone, as you can see, I am back at Primetime Treasure headquarters, and I picked up these 2 boxes of comic books. I did make the deal just for $20 for all these books. I'm gonna take you through it. I'm gonna do a little recap with you in just a second, but I'm gonna zoom in on these items so I can show them to you a little bit better. Okay, so these are the 2 boxes that I wound up getting. Now, these are pretty small boxes. They're actually smaller than the traditional short box. And I'm gonna show you a side-by-side comparison in just a moment, because you need to be careful. I've told you before that a short box will fit approximately 135 to 145 comic books in there that are bagged and boarded. But this is a smaller size one, and this one, these fit about 90 to 100 each, so you got to be careful because you want to make proper estimates of how many are in there. It's always, if you want to be on the safe side, it's always best just to do a count of one of the boxes, and then you can estimate what's in the others. Now, I did not pick these up because they were worth a ton of money. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna make a nice profit on these in the end. For example here, there's this series, Deadpool, The Circle Chase. Now, all 4 of those in near mint condition, which these actually are, can sell for a little bit over 50 bucks. And I spent $20 on these 2 boxes. So it's gonna be about 10 to 11 cents a comic book. And there's a lot of things in here that really aren't worth that much, like this series, Youngblood. I mean, that's not worth a lot. Morbius is a good title to look for, so there's a bunch of that in there, so that is good. X-Force, there's some things in here. Now there's like Angela, that is a good series, that's related to the series Spawn. There's some things in here that, they're not worth a ton, but there's others that have some decent value. But again, I didn't purchase it primarily because of the value inherent in this set for these. The reason why I purchased them was to make a connection with this guy, because this guy's going into all sorts of different estates, and the next time he goes into one and he finds an even bigger comic book collection, I want him to call me. And not just that, we talked about other vintage items, like if he comes across like a whole vintage collection of Legos or Funko Pops or whatever, signs, I want him to call me. So he now has my number, he has my card, he'll give me a call back. In addition to that, another reason that I made a deal with him, and I'll just show you some of the comics as I'm talking here so it's not totally boring. Another reason that I made a deal with him is that him and his dad are opening up a bar, and they need some signage. And turns out I have a nice assortment of vintage signs that he could use for his business. And like I have some Harley related ones that they're looking for, like into biking and that sort of thing. And so I sent him a bunch of pictures. He said he's gonna go meet up with his dad. They're gonna look him over and they're gonna give me a call. So who knows, I might be selling some stuff to him. So, that's the reason that I wound up getting these. So now let me show you, I'm gonna turn this off for a second. I'm gonna show you the comparison between these boxes and the other boxes in terms of the size differences. Okay, so this gives you a good sense of the difference in size between the comic boxes. This one right here is the one that I just showed you. It's that mini box. This one's about 16 inches, fits about 90 to 100 comic books. This one here is called a short box. This one's gonna fit about 135 to 145. And this is the long box. Now this one here, this short box is about 18 inches. This one here is about 31 inches, so it's over 2 feet long, and this one will fit about 275 comic books once it's filled, bagged and boarded. So I just want you to get a sense of the difference in size when you are looking at these different comic book boxes out at collections. Okay, now this is the comic book collection that I purchased at the garage sale for $50, and this one I did purchase primarily because of the investment in the comic books. I mean, the main thing that I was really looking at that really piqued my interest is the amount of Amazing Spider-Man that was in there and the condition of it. I mean, these 20-cent Amazing Spider-Mans with these bright colors, just incredible. I mean, I'm really, really happy with this. There is just a ton of it in there. Some of it's newer. There's some that are, that were originally $1 a piece. But, you know, we've also got some 60-cent ones here. And it's not just that. There's other things as well. There's some really nice older titles, like some older Fantastic Fours. There's Star Wars in there. There's just a lot of that stuff. One of the things I also liked about it is that there were a bunch of what we call variant comic book covers. And so these are ones that are different from the standard issue comic. And those are pretty desirable generally. I mean, it depends on which ones you have. But I saw a lot of those in there when I was flipping through. Let's see if I can find one here as an example to show you. Right there, there's a good one right there. You see right there, it says Variant Edition right up top there. So for modern comics, that's something that you're looking for, you know, is for it to say that. And so, you know, like here's another one here, Variant Edition. That is a big thing if you could find that. Another thing that I liked is that there were a bunch of what we call, let me show it to you over here so you could see it. It's the DC Universe Rebirth series. So this came out a few years ago when DC relaunched a lot of their comic books with kind of a new storyline called Rebirth. And so if you find those Rebirth titles, I mean, there's a bunch of them here. You know, you have a nice score in hand. There's group number 1 from Guardians of the Galaxy. So there's just a lot of stuff here. I am just surprised that I was able to pull off this deal and get all of this stuff for $50. I mean, that's just incredible. So really happy with that. And you know, the day really started off with an indicator that this was going to be a great comic book score day, because remember, this was the first thing that I found, this $55 book for just $1. Now this is talking about the newer Tarzan movie and some of the art and illustration in it, but it's still kind of comic-y related. I mean, it's not a comic book per se, but you know, there's a lot of art in there and stuff that comic collectors would like. And so, you know, it's really cool to have this piece, and I'm excited. I couldn't believe it was just $1. Other things that I wound up finding there today, I mean, how could you pass up this just for $1? You know, sitting there, this you know, this wheel, it spins around and it basically aligns the sun and the earth to different months, and that's why it's called a solar year wheel. And there's no comps on it. I think this is going to sell well. Just sitting in this lady's house who was a teacher for all these years. 1970, it even has the original instructions in it. So really great piece. And I even have the board. I mean, I've got everything. So that's great to have that. This is a neat piece here as well. I found this when I found the Tarzan book, and it is it's full. So that is a good thing as well. It's going to help the resale value on it. Not sure what I'm going to get out of it, but again, I only paid $1 for it. So it's a nice vintage piece. Never, like I said, pass up on the blank sealed VHS tapes. That is very good. Now you might be wondering what this is because you didn't see me source it, but this is something Mrs. Primetime sourced. And so I'm going to give you a little Mrs. Primetime tip. Now this is something I would pass up. I would have missed it. But, you know, she was kind of drawn to it. And if you look inside, you're going to see this company called Bosom Buddy Bags. So look up the comps on this. Now, this exact one you're not going to find, so I can't tell you what the exact value of it is. But she got it for $1 or $2. And the comps on these bags go anywhere from $20 to $100. So I'm not sure exactly where it's going to fall out, but that is a good be on the lookout for you. You know, if you like dealing with handbags and purses, great item. Don't ever be ashamed to pick up free stuff. So if someone's handing out free stuff like this Charlie Brown book, and I have a bunch of vintage Charlie Brown stuff, you know, definitely pick them up. And, you know, the people, remember, they just want to get rid of stuff. They don't want it. So you're doing them a favor, taking it off their hands. They don't want to go donate it, that kind of thing. Sports stuff, sports jackets, like this New Jersey Devil one that you saw me get. NHL stuff, very popular. Any of these professional looking jackets and jerseys and stuff by CCM, pick them up. And, you know, like I said, that's like a $35 piece that I wound up getting for $1. And this shirt here, I never told you in terms of value, but this one here would be about, you know, like a $15 shirt that I just wound up getting for like 50 cents. So that's a nice piece. You know, old tools like this old vintage Surveyor ruler, measurement tape. I mean, that's a really cool piece as well. Not sure exactly what I'll get out of it, but again, for just $1, you can't miss. And this mint card for Pavel Bure, that is awesome as well. You could see there. The people who are selling it online, by the way, only have this. They don't have the case. They don't have the signature. And like I said, this is going right now for 60 bucks just for this without this. Now, I don't know what they'll get out of it. I don't know what it'll sell for exactly, but I only got it for $5. So you cannot miss with this, I don't think. So I think that is everything that I wound up getting, and that is the roundup of the recap. All right, everyone, well, that is a wrap, and you know, it's amazing that I wound up getting all these comic books, because one of the things I didn't tell you earlier on today is that I was contemplating actually not going out, and I was wrestling with it back and forth in my mind because I have a lot of things that I need to do around here at Primetime Treasure headquarters just to get things organized and straight. And I wound up doing that later in the afternoon. And Mrs. Primetime, I actually asked her, I said, you know, what do you think I should do? And she's like, no, let's go out. Let's go find some stuff. And we did. So I actually thanked her on the way home that she gave me that advice to just go out and source, because I never would have got all these comic books, and comic books are my passion. And so I'm super excited to get that. So I hope you enjoyed the video and you got to see all these different items to be on the lookout for when you go hunting for treasure. So if you liked it, make sure you hit that like button. Please subscribe. We need less than 200 people to get to 5,000 subscribers. We are almost there, so close. That was the yearly goal. Come to the Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. The link to that is down below in the description section, and you will be one of the first 10,000 members, because we're almost at 10,000 members, less than 1,000 to go to get there. So the yearly goal was 10,000. We're almost there. Come by the Instagram account as well. That's at @prime_time_treasure. I'll see you back at the next video, everyone. Take care.